All right, welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Byrne. Evan, how we doing?
Good. Is it? I don't think it's live.
It's live through my thing, through my Instagram. It's through my personal account. Yeah.
I'm not doing well.
Okay.
I'm still suffering.
We all are.
I was late. I was still wallowing in my pain.
we all are. So obviously, as everyone saw, Miami knocked off Milwaukee, 130 to 117. You know what? I don't even want to go through the whole thing. Jimmy Butler scored 35. Bam Adebayo scored 22. I guess, what did you see in Milwaukee's performance against Miami?
I saw just bad basketball, and it was. The Bucks played. Obviously, Giannis got hurt, and went out for the whole game. But they can easily beat the Heat with or without Giannis, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You have Chris, you have Drew Holiday, you have Brooke, you have Bobby, and then sometimes you have a pretty decent role player who steps up. So that's 5 guys. And watching Kevin Love get 18 points, I think, killed them. He had 4 3-pointers. I don't think he's going to do it again.
Mm-mm.
Personally, I don't think that's going to happen. Could it? Yes. But it's frustrating to see him score 18 points. I think that was a big killer. But one of the big things, it's just so hard to tell. I think the other thing is the Bucks shot 24 from 3.
Yeah.
I think that, out of everything that happened in the game, that was what lost them the game. Because at points you were down by they lost by 13. You make 3 more 3-pointers. Now you're down 4. It's a whole different game if you could make a small handful. They're not asking had they just made 8 more? That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was 3 or 4 3-pointers, and I think it's reasonable. But I think they lost because of the 3-pointer, which is why they lost last year to the Celtics.
Completely agree. I think a lot of people are going to point to Giannis only playing 11 minutes and going out in the first half with a back contusion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't so the thing with that is Giannis maybe could have helped draw the defense in and kick out to open shooters.
Yeah.
But there's the component in the playoffs where our shooters still have to hit their open threes. And Milwaukee, unfortunately, really every postseason run has had trouble shooting from 3.
They could have won this game.
Mm-hmm.
Easily could have won. They got it to 5 points multiple times.
Yep.
And then you blink and they go on an 8-0 run. And it's just they do it to themselves. They lose. The only person that they're losing to is themselves.
Yes.
They do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same for all Wisconsin sports.
Yeah.
But yeah, shooting not even 25 from 3 is not going to win you any single game whatsoever.
And the defense on Jimmy Butler wasn't good.
It was horrible.
It was horrid.
It was horrible.
There was no
if it was there.
resistance. Jimmy Butler, honestly, could have gotten whatever he wanted in the paint or in the mid-range.
And what bothers me about Jimmy Butler sometimes is it's not just Jimmy Butler, it's just what I notice him doing. I don't understand how some fouls, how fouls work sometimes, being able to just jump into a guy that's just standing. I don't know. It's weird. I don't really like how Jimmy Butler plays. I think it's annoying. People always worship him because he went to Marquette. I don't know. I'm not a huge Jimmy Butler fan just in general. But going into this game, all you had to do was guard Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo.
Yeah.
And they didn't guard Jimmy Butler, and they didn't guard Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo had maybe 5, 6, 7 of just shots from the free throw line or just a foot or 2 in, and he made almost every single one. It's Brooke Lopez is our only defender, and when he's just not guarding these guys who will make that shot every time, you're not going to win. It's like when they play the Sixers with Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
It's those same little shots, and it's annoying, and it's why they don't win some of these easily winnable games.
And I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Is Adebayo is just not a good matchup for Brook Lopez.
No,
He's not.
he's
okay,
not.
he's a guy who can. He has that little floater. He can step out. He can shoot. I mean, it's just he's a quicker big, and that just doesn't make for a good matchup for Brook Lopez. It doesn't. So, couple with that with like Adebayo had 22 points, Butler had 35. The thing with this game is the scoring was a lot more balanced. Caleb Martin dropped in 15. Max Strus, it felt like he had a lot despite the fact he only had 8. Caleb Martin had 15. So, their score, Miami was largely enough able to win this game just because of how balanced their scoring was. Coincide with Milwaukee, whose scoring obviously wasn't as balanced. I mean, Chris Middleton kind of came, he was in his bag the whole game. He dropped in 33. But, without Giannis in there, and I get it, Bobby Portis dropped in 21. But, there just wasn't a lot of contributions from the other guys.
No.
And in the playoffs, that's who's most important. If you're going to win a series and if you're going to win a championship, is who else besides Giannis and Chris and Drew can step up.
And it's hard because Javon, Wesley, and Jay Crowder combined for 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Crowder could not make a shot if I have no words. He could not make a shot.
No.
He had wide open opportunities, multiple possessions, wide open, within 5-6 feet. There's a guy just letting him shoot it, and he misses them. He usually makes some of those, but they couldn't make a 3, and this is why they lost against the Celtics.
Yep,
can't make a 3.
Mm-mm.
So if the Bucks do this the whole series, they don't win the series, and they're going to get first rounded. Something needs to change with their.
Yeah.
I'm ranting a lot, but Budenholzer's let it fly, shoot threes is the stupidest thing in all of history. If they aren't making them, stop shooting threes.
Yeah.
I don't know how, what needs to, go through to, just think of that. Just stop shooting them. Because you hold them to, 3 or 4 scoreless possessions, and then here come the Bucks. Pull up from the 3 as they bring the ball over, and they miss it. It's you're wasting possessions when you could be going to the paint for Bobby, who is lights out in the paint, or Chris Middleton, who is hitting almost every shot. It's you have other guys besides a shit 3-point shot.
And I think some of the blame also could be put at the feet or the doorstep of John Horst, because he's the one who's building I can't necessarily put it on Bud, because John Horst is building this team to shoot threes. When he gets Grayson Allen and he gets Pat Connaughton, and obviously Drew and Chris and all those guys are great players. He gets Jay Crowder and he gets Goran Dragic. He gets all those guys so that it's such a tough thing. It's a little hard to necessarily build the team around Giannis, and Milwaukee so far has done a good job. But in the playoffs, and again, I get Giannis hasn't played or only played 11 minutes in this game, but it's so tough because you saw what happened in 2019 where Milwaukee didn't have enough shooting, and now it's they have a lot of shooting, but
they have all the shooting.
They're not efficient from 3.
Exactly.
So it's a little hard because, and Brook Lopez said before, he's had a renaissance year, but facing off against a guy like Adebayo, it's not a good matchup for him. Brook Lopez, it's going to be similar to what happened in 2020, where Miami won't necessarily be able to get in the paint at will, but they'll be able to take mid-range jumpers at will.
Yep.
And look, there was a couple of things that I noticed from Miami. Obviously, like I said before, Jimmy Butler, there was just no resistance for him getting in and out of the paint. But then there was a moment in the game where Milwaukee switched to a zone, and it didn't even matter. Miami's like so good at cutting without the basketball that they got the layups there, or they had like Gabe Vincent knock down a three.
Yep.
So there was no amount of defense that Milwaukee could have played that could have stopped Miami. And I knew it was over when like Tyler Hero like broke his hand.
That was bad.
It was bad.
Because he's out for the entire playoffs.
Yes. And
it's not I'll rest it and come back at the end. No, you're done.
And he still made a three with a broken hand. I'm like, oh, this is not gonna be our day. Tyler Hero's making a corner three with like a broken hand. He can't even he had no form on that shot. And he still made it. I'm like, oh, it's wraps.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch that clip. I don't like Tyler Hero. He's a Wisconsin guy, but like
I get
things
it.
Like that you hear about him, but like the injuries suck. But like I like rewatched like I don't know how he broke his hand from that slide. I thought it was a nice cross up by Grayson Allen. Like to see him like break the hand, wince, and like have them pass. And I don't know. Like I would have just called a timeout and took him out. The fact that they kept, obviously you don't want to like waste it like with the last like 40 seconds left in the half, but like dude, he was wincing. He looked incredible. Like he was in pain and he was out there, and it was unfortunate, and I hate seeing that.
Yeah, me too.
How much I don't like someone.
Yeah, me too. Like we don't wish for injuries on anybody. And Tyler Hero did try to come out of the game. The play was still going on. The possession was still going on, so there really wasn't any time for Miami to take him out. So he had to stay in, and obviously had a corner three. What I want to talk about is the Giannis play, because there's been a lot of discussion about that particular play. And a similar thing happened in the Memphis's game against LA, where John Morant hurt his hand. Finger, whichever his injury is.
I think he broke a finger or something like that.
Yeah. So, do you have a problem with the play? And do you think there's some rule changes that the NBA needs to look at for next season?
It's an iffy one because of how it is, but like I think it's all with how Giannis is like going around him. I think he was trying to like hit a Euro. He like tried too hard to do a specific play, and it always results in something that doesn't go his way. Mm-hmm. And just like how he jumped off too, like when Kevin Love does, he gets a charge so well. He got like 2 that game. Mm-hmm. He has a good setup. Like he knows where a guy's going, but like if you see the guy planted and you're trying to like make your way around him,
yeah.
I feel like at that point you just gotta like take it and be done and go on with either having an offensive foul or passing it out. But like Giannis was trying a lot at that moment. I think a lot of it was how he tried to attack the hoop from how Kevin Love was standing. But it's been a consistent injury thing throughout the league, not just like the situation, but it's a weird one. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah, because I think what a lot of people are comparing it to is, players are standing there like a traffic cone. That's not considered real defense. I don't know. Like I see this kind of play happen all the time in college. So I don't really think there's any malicious intent there. I think what a lot of people have an issue with is, and I think a lot of the reason why that particular play, you don't see a lot of injuries in college is because I don't think the players are athletic as they are in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Like, John Morant making that play, like John Morant can jump over Anthony Davis. There's no doubt about it. If Anthony Davis is just standing there, there's no doubt like John Morant can jump over a 7-footer. I think it's an unfortunate thing, but I don't think it's really anything you can fix, because I don't really know how you would change the rule on that. Like, hey, like, how would you even write it up in the NBA rulebook? Is, hey, you can't just you can't just slide over and just stand there and you know what I mean? I just don't know if.
Yeah, they would almost have to do it where like you got to count how long but it's not like they're going to be doing it for 3 seconds and just It's like within a second or second and a half, but it's just, I think one of the big things is how they call charges too. I think they need to like do over because, man, there are some charge calls or blocking calls that are so like far off of being a block. A couple in that game, one on Joe Ingles, one even on Giannis, how Bam just like nudged his entire shoulder into him, knocked Giannis to the ground. It's like how they call blocking and charges is, I think, one of the worst calls that they make in the league. And it's not, again, just, I hate complaining like, oh, well, it never goes the Bucks' ways. I'm not trying to be like that, but just throughout the league, like, it's bad.
and it's bad everywhere too. It's not just it's not just the NBA, it's college too. It's bad in college, it's bad in the NBA. It's something that needs to be changed. I don't know when it's going to happen, but the black charge calls, there's no consistency there. And there's been a lot of coaches who have talked about it where it's like, look, the officials do a good job. It's just the consistency, especially when it comes to the block charge calls. Because really, right now, there isn't any. It's like nobody knows what it is. It's like, it used to be that if a guy stands there and doesn't move or doesn't like slide over later, he's not still moving.
Yeah, his feet are planted, they aren't moving.
I hate to say it, but you can make an argument that Kevin Love play, in which it was called a block on Kevin Love, or the one where Giannis got hurt. You can make an argument that could have been a charge, but they called a block. Now I don't know if it was a makeup call for the Adebayo play on Giannis, but again, it's just it's like. It feels like, to me, kind of like possession in college basketball where it's like, we called it this way on the one end, so we're going to call it this way on the other end.
Uh-huh.
I just think there needs to be a little more consistency when it comes to block charge. And I get it. A lot of it can be very tough to referee. Not necessarily the sliding over part, but, if a defender has, 2 feet in the painted area, well, then it's a block. If it's outside the painted area, then it's a charge. Or if he has 1 foot in the painted area, then it's a block. So, it used to be simple, but now it's kind of turned into the catch rule for the NFL when they had trouble kind of ruling on that, where it's like now they don't really know what the definition of a block or charge is anymore. And I get it, okay, because these athletes move so fast, and it's so hard to make a split-second decision. Again, what you see on replay or on the TV monitors or whatever, it's very easier for those guys to be like, oh, well, that's such a bad call. But, look, you were a ref. It's hard to make those rulings in like a split-second decision.
Uh-huh.
Now, granted, what did you referee again? I forgot.
I reffed intramural.
Okay, so those guys aren't moving as fast.
Uh-huh.
They're just, they're hey, they're coming on from Thursday, so they're not moving.
You still got guys who will rip you a new one, if, even over the slightest things. Or on the other end, if I'm playing and I get a bad call, it's one of those things where there are some things that are a little more obvious to see in intramurals at a Division III school than it is in the NBA.
Yes, yeah. I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying. I'm sure it's a little easier for you to rule for a block charge call. I would hope that people aren't taking a charge in an intramural basketball game. So that's a hard move.
Yeah.
But look, let's see what else we got. Miami had 62 points in the paint. I've mentioned this before. That's a concern.
Mm-hmm.
That's a humongous concern. And there was a lot of people who said, "Oh, Brook Lopez like Defensive Player of the Year." I'm not saying he should or shouldn't, but I'm just saying, losing Giannis early in the game hurt.
Yeah. Because
Giannis does cover up a lot of holes defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And, I love me some Brook Lopez, but he's not going to be the type of guy who's going to be everywhere on the floor.
Yeah, he can hold his ground, but only for so much.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I expect him to, protect the paint when someone goes in there, but as far as like stopping like a mid-range jumper, like that's not it's not Brook Lopez's. It's not his thing, and I don't expect it to be his thing. The other point of concern that I wanted to mention was the points of transition. It is so frustrating to watch.
How you can just not go back on defense? Like like it's one of those things where it's like I don't play basketball. I never really did, but it's like how can you just not go back on defense? Like it's one of those things where it's just kind of like mind-boggling of how you can just not do half the game so consistently. It's like, oh, here's Jimmy Butler with the open area dunk. It's like because no one knows how to go back.
No, and the thing, it's so hard because there was a play in the game where Butler hit Adebayo for a dunk, and like Brook Lopez was the only one getting back. It's like, all right, well that's easy.
Yeah,
I love Brook Lopez, but I'm not gonna expect him to like sprint back on defense and block that shot. It's like there's got to be other guys who also have to get back in transition. It can't just be Brook Lopez,
our slowest guy.
Yeah, and here's the other pivotal moment in the game. Okay, Milwaukee, they're going on a bit of a run. Okay. Chris Middleton, like I said, he was in his bag. He was cooking, so to speak. A 2-on-1, Evan.
And
Javon Carter, Chris Middleton. Javon Carter decides to take a transition 3.
Yep.
I'm like, dude, you can't. He's been taking that shot all year, and I've been fine with it because it's a regular season. And I was like, screw it. These guys can take whatever.
Yep, they're up 15, and it's
These guys can take whatever shot they want in the regular season. You absolutely, positively cannot take that shot in the postseason. I get that's your game. You can't. Especially with a 2-on-1. There's a time and a place to take these shots. And in the fourth quarter, when Milwaukee's trying to make the little comeback, Chris Middleton was open. I think you could have hit him for an and one. So Javon Carter pulls a 3. It goes out of bounds. And that's basically where all the momentum ended. It's just
my brother texted me, "Thanks, Javon." As soon as he did that, it was a dumb play where you don't realize the situation you're in and what you're playing for right now.
And this is what I've been talking about before. I love me some Javon Carter. He plays great defense, but sometimes he gets into everybody. Like, he waves everyone off as like it's Javon Carter time, and he just pulled the transition 3.
Yeah.
There's no part of me that liked that shot. So I guess for me that was a pivotal moment in the game. I'm not saying that lost them the game because at some moments I don't think Milwaukee was going to win that game just because of the fact that every time it felt like Milwaukee was trying to make a little comeback, Miami would answer right back. And look, we talked about this yesterday, is that we knew Jimmy Butler was going to have a Jimmy Butler-like game. We just thought it was going to happen in Game 3, not Game 1. So it happened a little 2 days earlier.
Yeah, it was one of the other things that I just kind of noticed. Well, I was hoping Dragic would play a little bit. Again, he played for the Heat for a long time, might know the play style and like see what kind of happens if he's working out there. I was kind of hoping to see him a little bit, but I don't know. Wednesday's going to be tough. I do have the Giannis update if you saw that.
I did see that,
Yep. So, back injury, obviously. It looked like the tailbone. His x-rays were clear, and Budenholzer said we'll monitor him and see how he wakes up tomorrow.
That's
good news.
That is good news because, if it's one thing to, like, kind of watch an injury. It's another thing to hear it.
Yeah, and you know what I hate about the NBA and just like sports media?
What?
Stop posting injuries. Okay. It's one of those things where it's like I don't want to see. Obviously, it's Giannis, and like I want him to succeed, and I want the Bucks to win. But it's like when Kevin Durant got hurt in the layup line, it's like stop posting like guys getting hurt. Like no one wants to see that. But like House of Highlights, Bleacher Report. Yeah, that's like I keep seeing Giannis injured. Like here's the video of it. Here's Tyler Hero wincing and like borderline crying because his hand is just broken. He's still a kid. He's our age, and it's like, dude, like they gotta figure out to not post injuries.
Does it depend? Does it depend the injury? Like if a guy, okay, if say a guy just like it's like a Kevin Ware thing, which again is incredibly rare, but it could happen. Mm-hmm. Or like the Giannis injury, you could hear it and because that's like a lot of force coming down on the floor.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't like it when they do it, but at the same time, they're big media companies. They got to make their revenue.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I don't want to keep watching that.
I know.
I feel like other people don't want to watch it and like their teammates, but like when Gordon Hayward broke his leg, like that was everywhere.
That was
the Celtics game. It was like I don't want to keep watching that or just seeing the picture of it because I don't watch them. But yeah, so
I get it, and I mean. And, then you get TNT showing, 20 replays of it.
Yes! I know! It's like the fourth quarter, and then they'll show it again. Stop showing that. Like when Kyrie Irving got hurt in the 2021 playoff series against them, where his ankle gave out, it was like 6 different angles of Kyrie Irving's ankle snapping. It's like, stop showing me that. I don't want to see it again for the 14th time.
That was a serious ankle sprain too. It wasn't like
it was.
No. You kind of the most ridiculous thing TNT or like these media companies like ESPN, ABC will do is injury like Giannis's, for example. They'll show it like without sound, and then it's like and then they'll put it with sound. It's like here it is like mic'd up. And then it's like boom, and then it's just like Jesus. I don't know. I mean, look, I think the silver lining is that at least it wasn't mic'd up when he got hurt, because I've seen that happen before. I know you're not a football guy, but when Derek Carr broke his ankle,
yeah,
he was mic'd up that game, and that was the game he broke his ankle against the Colts, awesome, and he was like, it's broke. He just kept saying 50 times. I'm like, oh, that's not. Yikes! That's not good. I get it, and then I'm not even gonna watch. After the Bucks lose like this, I'm not even gonna watch anything tomorrow because I know there's gonna be because all these media companies have to debate.
The day after.
They have to debate. Someone's going to say something stupid like Paul Pierce said 3 years ago. Oh, well, the series is over. But Milwaukee's have a chance. It's one game.
I just wanted the Heat to beat the Hawks so bad. I don't know how the Hawks won.
Damn it. And then the Hawks got blown out yesterday by the Celtics.
Exactly. I don't get it.
Every
team I've wanted to win so far has lost.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't gotten one thing right.
the Nets. That's such a tough matchup because without KD and Kyrie, then you got.
Yeah, no, they're not gonna.
No, they're not. It's and I don't like the 76ers either. It's just at this particular moment, they have a better team, and then they get guys who are focused on the wrong things, like Spencer Dinwiddie and Kyle Kuzma are beefing right before the playoffs. It's really, is that... I mean, is it really that important?
Yeah.
The Celtics game, I mean, that one wasn't particularly close.
No. It was for a little bit, but yeah, then they walked away with it.
And I guess the other silver line, too, is, Memphis lost their first game, too, against LA. So, I mean, again, I'm not saying game one's not important. It's just not like the whole series.
It is. It's hard to lose at least one game when you got the home court advantage.
Yeah, and
at least try to take those two.
Yeah, and there was a part of me that was a little scared of the first game against Miami, especially with how the TNT guys were talking. Oh, well, Milwaukee should take care of business in 5. I'm like,
I know.
I'm telling you, this is going to be a tough series.
Yes.
Throw everything.
They were the 1 seed last year.
Yeah.
Not like just coming back into the playoffs after a hiatus.
I get it. Miami hasn't looked good the whole year. Mm-hmm. Throw that all out. Because let me tell you something. You know very well playoff Jimmy comes alive. Mm-hmm. 35 points. And there were no amount of defenders that could stop him.
No.
They try to put anybody on him. Okay, they tried Drew Holiday, they tried Joe Ingles, they tried Jay Crowder. Just nothing worked because the guy just keeps attacking. And I don't know what makes him so tough. It's just the fact that, they always run that little ball screen with him and Adebayo, and he always gets a mid-range jumper. And it felt like every time they did that little play, it was wide open. So...
See, my question is, why don't they play like this in the regular season? Where, why is, Jimmy Butler's stats, substantially better in the playoffs than it... Obviously, it's, shorter games, but,
yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of a weird thing where it's, how come the Heat just decide to play 10 times as harder when they get to the playoffs? They easily could be a higher seed outside of the A seed and, not have to do the play-in. But it's a weird thing,
Yeah, Heat have always been kind of a really weird team. They were really good last year, but under Eric Spoelstra, it just never feels like they just don't bottom out.
Yeah,
and you would think with the guy who's been there that many years, eventually you're going to bottom out, and then they're going to look for a new coach. That hasn't really happened with Eric Spoelstra, because I read a story about him, and it said basically that he's basically as competitive as the players are, and. Look, a lot of people are talking about, Heat culture and all this other stuff. It's just, I think it helps to have, Udonis Haslem and Spoelstra, and they just have, a really, united team. And that's what I think makes it a tough series. Because I do think Milwaukee's going to win. Hopefully, if Giannis can stay healthy and Middleton play like he did today.
Yeah.
But it's just... it's just with Jimmy Butler and the guys that got around him. It's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a good little first round fight.
Yeah, and obviously the Bucks know what they need to do. They know that they're underachieving what they can do. So it's one of those things where it's knowing the Bucks, they know what to fix and hope that it works. But it's just frustrating to lose the first game of the season or the playoffs.
Yeah, and there's been, I wouldn't say distractions necessarily, but. I'm sure you heard about this, is that Mike Budenholzer's top assistant, Charles Lee, has interviewed for the Detroit Pistons vacancy.
Yep.
So, when you have that going on, I'm not saying the team is distracted. I'm just saying, with a rebuilding team trying to poach one of our top assistants, during, a playoff run, that can... I don't even know if it's would be considered a distraction necessarily. In my opinion, I do think they could stand to wait till after the season's over. I've never really understood that, is why these rebuilding teams are able to interview these coaches in the middle of a playoff run or towards the end of the regular season. I've never understood that. I do think that part of it should be changed, because I think because look. Charles Lee, right now he might have a lot going on. And what if they ask him back for a second interview? I'm just saying that I think that not him necessarily. I think he is owed to finish out the regular season with the Bucks, and then if he wants to look for other jobs after, fine. But with interviewing for other vacancies, you might get a call back, and then what if he gets hired? Then, then he has to focus on, just how to juggle these two things. So,
yeah.
But yeah, they got that going on. And that aspect of it is really it. I guess, I think Milwaukee knows what they need to do in order to win. So let's hope they do it. It's only game one.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and
they need to win the next game.
They have to.
If they want to have a chance to not get swept or first rounded, they got to win on Wednesday.
Yeah. And there's also been a little mini controversy. Evan, I don't know if you noticed the court.
Yes.
Everybody,
the new court's coming back. I heard there's a chance.
Everybody, and again, I didn't. It's not really something I noticed because, we grew up with like the court always being the same, and now all of a sudden it feels like it changes. It's like even on the road. It's like you ever notice when you watch the Bucks play on the road? It's like what happened to that court they were playing on or something like that, or like
I think it broke a while back. Because I went to a game where they were playing on the blue court in their green jerseys to like start, and I was like, "That's kind of ugly." Right after the All-Star break.
Yeah,
I think their green one broke.
Yeah, I forgot what I don't know if it was the paint or it was something. I heard it's going to be coming back soon.
Yeah, something was not fixed or something was broken on that court or not playable that they had to fix it. I know that was the reason why. It just looks so ugly having that blue court with all the other jerseys.
No, and I went back. I was like, "What is he talking about? Blue court and green court?" Yeah, because I went back and I watched the second game against the Rockets. I was like, "Oh, that's what." Okay, because they had the green court. Now it's just a straight blue court.
Yep.
And we're not saying we don't like the blue court. I just don't think that should be our permanent court. That thing does not look good. Like it. And blue on blue, I think it looks good, but I think you have to kind of switch it up.
Yep.
Again, like we grew up like watching the Bucks at the Bradley Center and the court always being the same.
Yep. The Bucks were the first ones to do an alternate court when they did the Fear the Deer night with the black court.
Yeah, like when they had the little green deer right in the middle, like that's the court that we remember. But then it was like. Now, every team, it feels like, changes courts. Mm-hmm. Like Miami's. Look at Miami's now. I'm like, what is that? Miami used to keep it so simple, having the little black and the little Heat logo in the middle. But now I don't even know what that atrocity is. It's a lot of colors going, and I don't like it.
It's like the pink DC court.
I don't know I don't know what's going on. I think sometimes teams like oversimplify it, where in reality they should just keep the court just kind of the same. So yeah, I mean, is there any other performances that kind of stood out?
No, they just got some of these guys got to step up on Wednesday. We need obviously Jay Crowder, Joe Ingles kind of did better near the end, but yeah, some of these role guys got to come back. I'm kind of curious about Pat Connaughton. To be honest, I kind of forgot he didn't play until I looked that he didn't play. Forgot that he was still hurt, but
and there was
Chris,
and there was question as if he was going to, like, was he listed as out that he wasn't going to play?
I don't even remember seeing that. I just kind of forgot that he was. We'll see if there's any updates. How fast I can find something.
Okay, yeah, because I thought there was something the day before where Budenholzer told some reporters that the injury report for Sunday's game was going to be relatively clean.
Yeah, it said CBS posted a day ago that Bucks Pat Connaughton will play in the series opener Sunday, but he in fact did not play.
Now, again, you don't know if that's. It could be a multitude of things. It could be injury based or it could be matchup based. Because let's be honest, Pat, out of all, and it was really tough for me to find like who's been bad this year. Pat's probably been one of the worst players. And I hate to say that. It's just he hasn't shot the ball particularly well. His defense hasn't really been the same. But especially for his shooting outside of a good month in January, it's just kind of fallen off a cliff for like 2 months.
I agree.
And it's unfortunate because he had to deal with the calf injury, and then he had to obviously now he has the ankle sprain.
Yep.
So maybe Budenholzer's just giving him a couple other days rest to see if he can See if he can come back. And the rotations are going to be interesting to me too, because I don't know if we necessarily see the same rotations. I do think Goran Dragic will see some minutes on Wednesday.
I hope so. I think he should definitely play this series, being a vet on the Heat under Spoelstra and playing with some of those guys. I don't know. I feel like it could benefit them.
Yeah, and I love Javon Carter. I think he should have played last year, but if he's going to pull up transition threes,
and scored 2 points in 22 minutes,
that's not. And again, and Javon Carter's not really a scorer. I know I know he has career averages, but like that's who Javon Carter is. I don't really consider him to be a 15, 20 point guy. He's like 10 or like 8. Like 8 points is like good for him. I know he's had big performances against OKC and San Antonio, but I just don't consider him to be like, he's going to fill up the stat sheet with points. Just not who he is. So I do think we're going to see Goran Dragic. I think we're probably going to see Pat.
I do too.
So Evan, you got anything else?
No. So again, they play Wednesday. Hopefully Giannis is back. If you follow us on social media, maybe we'll do a little update on that. But yeah, they got to win on Wednesday.
Got to win on Wednesday.
Yeah, they got to go 1-1, I guess, with the home court advantage. But they can't go down 2-0 going to Miami with all the momentum their way. So
yeah,
we'll see. I'm nervous, but I think if Giannis is back, I think hopefully they can have a bounce back game.
Yep, and to talk all these Bucks fans off a cliff. They've lost game ones before. The last time they did it was, I believe, in the bubble, 2020.
They also went down 2-0 in the finals and then won 4 in a row.
So you know what? We're used to dealing with adversity. So I wouldn't worry quite yet. Game one, it's game ones aren't as important because you're just kind of feeling each other out. Everybody kind of could come out with a hot shooting stretch, and obviously Miami had that today. So, thank you guys for tuning in to the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. And before I go, Milwaukee's next game is in Milwaukee Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Yes.
So, thank you guys. Oh, shoot. Did we not go live? Shit. Okay, here's what I'm gonna have to do. We're not gonna redo it, but okay. Where's my? Okay, how did I not go live? All right, we're not gonna do the. Whoops.
Okay, so you can throw that podcast away.
We're not gonna throw the podcast away. Shit, we did not go live. Fuck me, man. I thought we went live. What the hell? All right, we're not gonna do two other things again. How do I turn this off? All right. Well, I don't know what we're gonna do.
We could almost do like a. Well.